You have heard it 100 times. Ripple has over 300 partners, major banks, payment giants, financial institutions all over the world. And the story that always follows is the same. With that many partners, XRP demand must be enormous. It sounds convincing. It is also mostly wrong. Because here is the uncomfortable truth that almost no one in the XRP space wants to say out loud. Most of those 300 partners do not actually use XRP at all. But before you take that the wrong way, this is not the bad news it sounds like. Because once you understand what those partners are really doing, you understand where XRP's real value actually comes from. And that is a far more useful thing to know than a headline number. So the real question is not, how many partners does Ripple have? The real question is this: does that partner number actually create demand for XRP? Or is it a vanity metric that has been sold to you as something it is not? And if it is not the partner count, then where does XRP's real value come from? That is what we are going to break down today, calmly and honestly, both the uncomfortable part and the genuinely encouraging part. No hype, no doom, just how this actually works. Quick note before we go further: nothing in this video is financial advice. This is one read of the public record and how Ripple's technology works. What you do with it is your decision, your timeline, and a conversation with a professional who knows your situation. This channel gives you the calm read. The rest is yours. Here's the plan. First, where the 300 partners claim comes from and why it is everywhere. Then the uncomfortable truth, the difference between what most partners actually use and what actually needs XRP. Then the other side, the part the skeptics miss, where real XRP usage is genuinely growing. Then the honest read. And finally, the metric you should actually be watching instead of the partner count. Let's get into it. This is XRP Verified. Start with the claim itself, because it is real and it is impressive. Ripple genuinely has built a large network. Over the years, it has signed up more than 300 financial institutions across the world onto its payments network. Banks, remittance companies, payment providers. That is a real, substantial footprint, and it is not made up. So it is easy to see why the story took hold. 300 institutions. Big names. It feels like proof that XRP is being used everywhere, and that demand for the token must be enormous. But that is exactly where the misunderstanding begins. Because being a Ripple partner and using XRP are two completely different things, and the gap between them is the whole story. Let me show you what I mean. Here is the part that matters most, so I am going to slow down and make it simple. Ripple does not sell one product, it sells a few, and for XRP, two of them could not be more different. The first is its messaging technology. Think of it like this: it gives banks a faster, cleaner way to send each other payment instructions, a better set of pipes for the message. But the money itself still moves the old way, through banks holding pre-funded accounts around the world. In that version, XRP is not involved at all. None. It is just communication. The second product is called on-demand liquidity, and this one is completely different. With on-demand liquidity, when a bank sends money from one country to another, it actually buys XRP on one side, moves it across in seconds, and converts it into the local currency on the other side. That is real XRP being bought, used, and sold. That is actual demand for the token. So here is the catch. The large majority of Ripple's partners use the first product, the messaging. Only a portion of them, by most estimates a minority, use the second one, the product that actually touches XRP. That is the gap. When you hear 300 partners, that number is telling you about Ripple's network reach. It is not telling you how much XRP is actually being used. Those are two different measurements, and they have been quietly blended into one. Messaging is not XRP, and that is the uncomfortable truth the headline hides. Now, if that were the whole story, it would be a genuine problem, but it is not the whole story. Because on the other side of this, something real is happening, and this is the part the skeptics tend to leave out. Here is what does not get said enough. While the partner count is oversold, actual usage of the XRP ledger has been climbing, and not slowly. Look at tokenization, the process of putting real-world financial assets, like bonds and treasuries, directly onto a blockchain. The XRP Ledger now holds around $3.5 billion in these tokenized real-world assets. At the start of this year, that number was under $1 billion. That is real growth in real usage in a matter of months. And the activity is not just numbers on a dashboard. Daily transactions on the ledger reached 3 million. Even bigger, JP Morgan, MasterCard, and a tokenization firm called Ondo, together with Ripple, completed the first cross-border tokenized U.S. Treasury settlement on the XRP Ledger, and it cleared in under 5 seconds. That is one of the largest banks in the world actually using this ledger to move a real financial asset. On top of that, Ripple's own stablecoin, RLUSD, has grown past $1.5 billion, and Ripple's institutional arm was accepted into one of the core pieces of Wall Street's settlement infrastructure. So, step back. The partner count may be a vanity metric, but the ledger underneath XRP is being used by serious institutions for serious things, and that usage is genuinely growing. If this is the kind of honest breakdown you wish more XRP channels would give you, comment "real" below. I want to see how many of you prefer the straight version over the hype. So let's put both sides together and be straight about what it means. 2 ways to see this, and the truth sits between them. The bearish read: if most of Ripple's partners never move from that messaging product to the one that actually uses XRP, then all those partnerships create very little real demand for the token. In that world, XRP mostly just drifts with the broader crypto market, and the partner headlines never translate into anything for the price. The bullish read: the real engine was never the partner count in the first place. It is the growing on-ledger activity, the tokenization, the stablecoin, the actual settlements. If that keeps compounding, that is what genuinely pulls demand for XRP over time, regardless of how many logos are on a partner slide. And that is the honest conclusion. The 300 partners number is not the thing to watch. It is real, but it has been oversold as proof of demand it does not, by itself, create. The thing that actually matters is conversion and usage, partners moving to the product that needs XRP, and real activity growing on the ledger. This does not guarantee anything, but it does tell you where to point your attention. So instead of the partner headline, here is what to actually track. 3 things. First, real XRP usage. Watch for news about on-demand liquidity adoption. How many institutions are actually using the product that buys and moves XRP, not just the messaging? That is the number that matters. Second, the ledger itself. Watch the growth in tokenized assets on the XRP ledger, the daily transaction counts, and the volume moving through RLUSD. That is real, on-chain activity you can measure, and it does not lie. Third, settlement milestones. When names like JP Morgan actually use the ledger to move a real asset, that tells you far more than another partnership announcement ever could. Watch for real usage, not just signed deals. Track those 3, and you will understand XRP's actual progress far better than anyone still counting partner logos. So let's bring it all together. The 300 partner story is one of the most repeated claims in the XRP space, and it is also one of the most misunderstood. Most of those partners use Ripple's messaging, which does not touch XRP. So as proof of token demand, the number is oversold. But that is not where the real story ends, because the actual usage of the XRP ledger, the tokenization, the stablecoin, the real settlements from real institutions is quietly growing underneath all the noise. That is the part worth watching, not the logo count, the usage. The people who understand that difference are the ones who see XRP clearly, past the hype and past the doom, to what is actually happening. If this is the kind of honest breakdown that helps you separate the real signal from the noise, subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss the next one. No hype, no panic, just the straight version, every single video. And if you want to understand where XRP's price actually stands right now, watch the video on screen next. This is XRP Verified. Stay patient, stay rational, and as always, we don't wait for the future, we plan for it.